Well, hello everyone. My name is Lynnette Stevens, and I hope that my idea for updating a thrift store find will encourage you to be creative and to create a cozy home. Before I talk to you about my thrift store purchase today, I wanted to take just a second and talk about the fact that for all of you that are regulars on my page, probably are noticing that the background looks just a little bit different than what you've seen before in my lives. Hi to my sweet friend Debbie and Cheryl. So glad you girls could join me. And so if you think this background looks a little bit different, you're right. It looks a lot different because I'm actually in my craft room going live for the first time ever. I've not gone live back here before because I'm going to be real honest and transparent with you guys. It's looked like a tornado has gone through this room. And if you've also kind of been wondering where I've been the last several days, week and a half, 2 weeks, I don't even know the last time I went live with you guys, is because I have been focused on trying to bring some organization to this room and sorting through and getting rid of things I don't need any longer and trying to organize things. Anyway, I've had my hands full. And for those few little friends that I've actually opened this door for before, they can attest to how bad it looked in here. I actually took a photo the other day before I started, and I'm trying to decide if I'm going to get the nerve up to show it to you guys, because literally there really wasn't even a path in this room. But I'm making progress. I'm getting there. So little by little, I'm going to have this thing where it's going to look like a real workroom, which is something I've needed for a very long time. And with the help of Mr. Stevens, I'm getting there. I'm really excited to share with you guys some of the things I've done in here, but I want to wait until I get the whole thing finished. And then I figure I'll go live in here one night and just walk around the whole room and let you guys take a peek and kind of talk to you about some of the things I've done to get myself more organized in here, in hopes that it might give some of you guys some ideas too. So anyway, I appreciate your patience with me, the fact that I haven't been on live, and you guys are so sweet to me. I appreciate all of your messages that I've got in the last few days, asking where I'm at and asking if I'm okay and when am I going to go live again. You guys make me feel so good, and I appreciate that so much. So thank you for being good to me. Anyway, let's go ahead and get this show on the road. Hi to my sweet friend Tori and Clarice. So glad that you guys could join me. And Marla. Marla, it's super exciting, and I cannot wait to share some of it with you guys. So, and we're going to talk about that some more here in a little bit too. So, hello to my beautiful cousin Shelly. Thank you for joining me. I'm glad you could come on, dear. Hi, Robin. Okay, girls. So, Mr. Stevens and I had to run some errands this afternoon, and I popped into a little thrift store that I like over in Midwest City, not too far from our home, and didn't find a whole lot. I'm going to be honest with you, and for those of you that are thrift store shoppers like I am, that's how it goes. Sometimes you go and you hit the gold mine. Other times you go and you don't find anything. Well, today was one of those days I only found a couple of things. But I wanted to share with you guys, I found this, and I don't know if it's too tall to get in, this cute little calendar frame, calendar holder. Do you guys remember? These used to be super popular. I remember when Mr. Stevens and I first got married back in '91, we actually had one very similar to this. That we used for years. So late 80s, early 90s, maybe through the 90s, these were real popular. And I'm going to be honest, this one still has kind of that same look to it. But I thought, you know, could I take this and turn it into a little bit more of a farmhouse look? I think we can with sanding and a little bit of stain. So we're going to give it a try and see how it goes. I almost forgot this part. Two things I want to tell you guys before I start. Guys, this was $1.98. $1.98. So if it turns out like I'm hoping in my mind it's going to, then we're going to have a really cute little piece of wall art for $2. The other thing I want to show you is, do you see what I've done back here? when you guys find something like this at the thrift store and you're torn between colors and maybe you can't decide what color you want to paint, turn on the back side you can't decide between. Put all three of your colors back here. Or maybe you know you want it white, but you don't have a dark color stain to kind of do the antiquing. Paint this white and then do your 3 different colors of wood stain. You guys know that's my favorite way to do. Do it on the back side. Then you don't run the risk of having to start reuse on the front side the first time around. So there's your little tip, okay? You guys, I'm going to try to watch your comments, but you guys know if I miss them that I will go back and answer any of your questions or respond to your comments at the end of the live. Let's see, Jenny, what are you saying? Still have? Oh, you still have your calendar holder. That is awesome. You know, I've regretted getting rid of mine. I truly have. So I was excited to find this today. And what I decided to do is I'm going to do white and kind of do a little bit of a farmhouse look, I think, on mine. And you guys, I'm just using the little Apple Barrel 50-cent bottle of paint from Walmart. You find this in the craft department at Walmart, okay? So I'm going to take it and I'm just going to squeeze a little bit of my paint out onto just a plastic lid. So you guys save your plastic lids. This is actually off of French onion dip. Save those because they're perfect for using with your little small bottles of paint, okay? Especially when you're doing a small project like this one. You can't beat those for holding your paint while you work. So that works out awesome. Hi, Janet. I'm so glad you could join me, dear. Okay, you guys. And the brush, I'm just using about a 1-inch wide, just a craft brush, okay? You can buy these at Walmart, Hobby Lobby, Michael's, all the places. And I'll be honest with you guys, I've seen bags of the little craft brushes like this that's got all the different sizes. They have them a lot of times at Ross. So if you'll go back where they have like greeting cards and, wrapping paper, look in that area. They'll oftentimes have a lot of like little arts and craft type supplies, and you can find a bag of these brushes, and they'll have like the 1-inch all the way down to the little tiny like eyelash almost brush in them. As a matter of fact, the one I'm using tonight, I actually did buy this at Ross in a pack of those probably a year ago, and they have held up great. So I'm very pleased with my buy. And I think I bought the entire package. I want to say it was like $3.99 maybe for all of them. So if you find that kind of deal, take advantage of it because they're usually pretty decent brushes. I've had real good luck doing that. All right, guys, and what I'm doing is kind of a dry brush method. And those of you that have watched me paint before, you know it's my favorite way to paint. So I've got just a little bit of paint. I don't set the brush down and drag, okay, because it's going to create a blob there of paint, and I don't like that. So have your brush kind of already moving, okay, before you touch your, in my case, this little calendar frame. So have that brush already moving so that you don't end up with just a blob, okay? And I am purposely kind of giving a dry brush effect because right off the bat, that gives me a little bit of a vintage look without me even having to sand or anything. I'm already getting a vintage look simply by the amount of paint that I've got on my brush, okay? So, just don't get too much unless you like that full coverage. And if you like the look of full coverage, then by all means, load your brush up with a lot of paint and you can get that. But I have found that I think it works better to put your paint on in 2 thin layers as opposed to 1 thick one, okay? Because if you put it on thick in 1 coat and then decide, oh, that really wasn't the look I was going for, you're going to have a lot of work to do and a lot of sanding to do to get some of that back off. Now, if you put it on in a light coat to begin with, and you're like, I want a little more coverage, then you simply go over with another light coat of paint, okay? But I get asked, and I have gotten asked a lot over the years, how I get this look. And the girls, this is how I get this look. I mean, look, you can't even really tell I have paint on my brush That is how I get this kind of time-worn, I like to call it Found It in Grandpa's Barn, because that's kind of what this reminds me of. Something I would have found, this paint style reminds me of. It's something I would have found in Grandpa's barn. So, that's how I do that. And I get asked that a lot. So I want to make sure and share with you guys kind of how I achieve that look. Okay? Alright. And guys, I'm purposely up here at the top. I'm going to stop for a second and let you guys see. Do you see where there's bare spots where it's still just the bare wood? Did that on purpose. One more thing I just realized I forgot to tell you guys. This wood, maybe it's just because of the age of this particular little calendar frame, but this wood is already very dry. So I literally just wiped it down with a Lysol wipe just to clean any kind of dirt or grime off. I cleaned it with that when I got home this afternoon or this evening, and that's it. But let me tell you, if it's got a shiny coat of lacquer or varnish on it, you're going to want to take your sandpaper and sand that to get that top layer. Now, you don't have to get the stain off, okay? But you do have to get that varnish or lacquer feel. You've got to get that slick feeling off, or it's not going to want to hold your paint. You could also probably use chalk paint on it. I'm not using chalk paint. We're just using the regular little acrylic paint. You could probably use a chalk paint over that slicker surface and be okay. But I just don't want you guys mad at me if you buy some wooden thing and it's slick and you put your acrylic on and then it starts peeling or chipping off. I don't want you mad at me. So I want to make sure, and you will know, my wood's dry. It's very dry, okay? Nothing slick left on here. That's why I didn't have to do a lot of prep work before I started painting, all right? So I wanted to make sure and share that with you because I don't want you guys to get a project done and then have it start peeling and you're upset with me. So just check to see, and it's very obvious, guys, if it needs it. It really is obvious because it'll look shiny and it'll be slick. So just make sure you get that off before you start painting, okay? All right, so we're just going to give ourselves this little top coat. And listen, I'm not taping off inside of here because our calendar's going to go in there anyway. If this was something you were doing and it did matter to you, I have found that the blue painter's tape or the green frog tape or whatever, those both work very well for taping off inside where you don't want to get the paint. I'm not worried about that because I know that our calendar is always going to have that covered. So you guys know that a lot of times I'm all about the shortcuts, and painting this and not taping it off is definitely something I'll do a shortcut on, all right? Because I'm not going to worry about it when I know that the calendar is going to be there. Okay, guys. I'm going to look here and see. I think I am pretty darn happy with how this looks. Let me just make sure. All right. So we're going to call the paint good. Another tip that I share often, you guys know in my paint videos, is when you're done painting. Now, right now, if I wasn't live with you guys, I would simply take my brush and go wash it. But since I'm live with you guys and I don't want to take the time to do that, I'm just going to slip it right inside this little baggie. So anything like this, you know, cling wrap, saran wrap, you know, a Walmart bag, whatever. Just throw your bag in it and keep the air off of it. As long as you can keep your brush moist, then the paint won't harden and ruin your brush, okay? So we just want to make sure and do that. The next thing I'm going to do is I've got just a little piece of sandpaper. And guys, what I'm going to focus on for my distressing is I'm just going to hit like the edges, all right? I'm going to be very careful not to, I don't want to take any more of the paint off of the flat surface of my frame simply because I've already kind of painted it where it's pretty distressed looking anyway. So I don't want to take any more of the paint off. So I'm just going to be very careful and just go along the edges, okay? And it might be a little bit loud, so bear with me. Actually, it's not too bad. All right? So all I'm doing is just hitting the edge, all right? And I like this because anytime you hit the edges, it just defines them more, all right? Where my edges and my lines are on here, they're going to stand out a lot more if I've sanded over them, because then when I stain, those are going to become prominent and just makes the piece look nicer, I think. All right, so and here's how I'm holding my sandpaper. I get asked about this a lot. I'm just using my pointer finger only, all right, so that I can kind of just form my sandpaper around my finger so that I can make sure that I'm not taking the paint off of the top flat part of my frame, okay? And that way I can just literally go right down the edge here, okay? All right, and then we'll do the outer edge the same way. And it really just highlights these lines and makes it look so much nicer. So, all right, now I'm gonna turn this around so that I can keep it where you guys can see too. Okay. All right, I'm gonna try to do this one side up here at the top, one half, and hold it up and see if you guys can tell the difference where I've sanded versus the side that didn't get sanded, because it will really, I'm gonna hold it like this. Can you guys see the difference? I don't know if you can, where it's been sanded and where it hasn't. See how it shows more of the curve and kind of the detail on our frame? Just makes it look nicer. So, and this doesn't take long, guys. This sanding step is fast. This does not take long at all, but I feel like it really pays off once we get our staining done. I think it pays off in the overall look of our frame, okay? So let's get this one more side sanded real fast, okay? We're getting there. Okay, I think that is done. All right, the next thing we're going to do, and if you guys have followed my page for a while, then this won't surprise you, because you guys know that my favorite way to antique wood is by using wood stain. I know there's lots of different ways you can do it. This is just the way that I've done it for 35 years, so it's my favorite way, and that's my go-to. So this is how I do it. And I will tell you guys that a lot of times when you're doing white, if you want to keep your wooden piece more white and not as antique, I guess, looking, fruit wood stain, it's the color of the stain, fruit wood made by Minwax, is a great choice because it's a light colored stain and it barely just colors, adds a little bit of distressing without being too heavy. My favorite is Early American by Minwax. You guys can buy this at Walmart. You can actually buy it back in the paint department, okay? But that's my absolute favorite way is, let me get some of this other stuff out of my way. My simple wood stain. And here's what I do. You don't even have to cover every square inch. I literally, can you guys, I guess I better put this down where you can see. All right. I am just wiping some stain on, and I don't have to worry about covering the whole thing. And here's why. Because as I begin to wipe with my rag, it is going to distribute the stain all over the white, all right? So I wipe, and it's going to color it for me. So the number one mistake, if you want to call it that I've seen folks making is just dousing, if you will, your piece in stain. And if you do that, you will have more stain than you've got product to wipe it on. And then you just end up with a mess, and then it takes numerous rags and applications to get all that wiping applications to get that back off and make it look nice. So really, honestly, the key is don't put too much stain on to begin with, all right? A little bit of stain goes a long way because once it gets on our rag, it's gonna distribute on its own on our white paint, all right? So now, anytime you're using wood stain, a painted piece like I'm doing right now, Or if you're just staining a bare wood piece, you want to make sure that once you wipe your stain on, that you've got a rag handy to wipe the stain back off. Super important, okay? If you don't wipe that back off and you let it dry, then when it dries your wood project. So make sure that you always, and I've been asked, I still get asked a lot, well, how long do I leave my stain sitting on? And you know what? That's a personal preference. That depends on how much antiquing and how dark you're trying to achieve, all right? The longer you leave your stain sitting before you wipe it back off, the darker your piece is going to be. I don't want this super dark. So you notice I'm putting it on and wiping right back off. But if I wanted it darker, then I'd let it sit 10 to 15 minutes, take it off. I could let it sit 2 or 3 minutes and then wipe it back off. But I don't want this super duper dark. So I'm not letting it sit at all. We are putting it on and wiping it right back off, okay? So I can tell you guys, one thing that I've noticed when I go back and watch these videos after I'm done with you guys, I'm always frustrated because the piece never looks as good in the video as it does in person. But I will tell you guys that you would never know that this was, you know, just a brown thrift store find when we started, because it truly has a authentic vintage look to it now. And I would have never guessed that we just did it in, what, a matter of minutes and created it to look like this. So I'm going to let you guys take a look, okay? Oh, Peggy's, let me see what you're saying. Have you ever used distressed ink? Peggy, I haven't. Peggy, can I use that on wood? I don't even know. I've used it on paper before. I've used the little distressed ink to age the edges of paper, but I didn't know if it works on something like this. So Peggy, if you know, I would love for you to share that with me. So hello to my cousin Lana and to Shayla. Thank you girls for joining me. Okay, so there's what our frame is looking like now. Doesn't look like something that we paid $2 for, right? And I looked for a calendar this afternoon and honestly couldn't find one that I wanted to spend the money on to have that I didn't like. So I decided I would just take one of my old calendars at home that I know is pretty cool, and I'm just going to use it for the purpose of showing you guys out, okay? And guys, listen, it doesn't have to be a calendar frame that you find at the thrift store, okay? It could be any wooden item, but look, I think this is so cute. And tomorrow, I will take a better picture for you guys too. I'll try to take it outdoors where the lighting's really good and grab a picture of it so I can share that with you guys. But I don't think it looks like something that we spent $2 on. And the other thing I thought of, I am really into stars right now. I don't know if you guys are, but I love them, especially if they're like metal. So if I had any on hand, and I tonight, but I think a cute little iron or metal star right here would have been super cute too. But if you're into something else, you know, you could even stencil something up here. You could get some of the little metal words like a welcome or something like that and put at the top. But I was just going for simple tonight. And since I didn't have a star, I'm just leaving it. But I think for $2, I'm pretty in love with this thing. So, yeah, $2. Let's see. Freezing up. Peggy, are you serious? Guys, am I freezing up on everybody? That makes me so mad. I hope not. Anyway, the other thing I want to ask you guys is, Cheryl, am I freezing? I see a couple of people saying that. Cheryl, would you let me know if I am freezing up on you guys? That makes me so mad. Anyway, the other thing I want to ask you guys before I get off tonight is, while I'm in the process of getting my craft room in order, I am going to be, fixing up some glass jars so that maybe they don't just look like a glass jar. Anyway, I've got some ideas of some things I'm going to do to use for storage in my craft room. And I wanted to find out from you guys if that is something that you guys are interested in. Would you like for me to go live throughout the weekend in the next few days, sharing with you guys some of the things that I'm going to be doing in my craft room as far as storage goes? So let me know in the comments if you guys are interested, and I'll try to go live and share some of those ideas with you as well. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get off of here for tonight. Hope you guys enjoyed this idea. Hope it's encouraged you to pick up wooden items when you find them at the thrift store so that you can give them an update. I appreciate you guys so much. Y'all have a great evening, and I will try to be back with you guys in the next couple of days. Thank you. Bye-bye.